Welcome to the On the Slab podcast with me, Ian the Dynamo Kelly, and the King himself, Carl King Woe. And welcome to another great show that we have for you today. Today, we are going to be talking about the 1975 legendary film, The Great Fish himself, Jaws. Carl, how are you, brother?
I'm doing good, man. I have a little bit of a cold, so I probably sound a bit froggy, but don't worry about that.
You don't have the vid anyway. You're grand.
No, I'm good, man.
Yeah, you're good. We as you know, we've been looking forward to this show for quite a while, and of course, to try and do Jaws justice is almost impossible. But we're going to try and get through it anyway. The first of its kind, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it was the first film filmed on the ocean.
Yeah.
And so I think that was pretty groundbreaking when you think about it.
And one of the things about this movie is that it's also a movie that it's nearly 2 hours long, and you don't really see a whole lot of the shark.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah.
It's like even the opening scene when you're just watching the camera go through the ocean at the bottom of the ocean, and then you see it's kind of, okay, so this is what the shark is seeing at the moment. And we're not going to do, we don't do playthroughs here, but I suppose getting right into it, we see a load of kids, college kids acting the bollocks on the beach, and some little creep chasing a bird down, and she gets into the sea going skinny dipping, and good Lord, it's a vicious scene, really, isn't it? Especially for that time, because you see her getting swung around, and you kind of see the colour of the blood. One of the funny things I noticed was that it was actually pitch black at night, and then all of a sudden when they're running onto the beach, it's daylight. I was like, that happened really quick. How long's he been chasing this girl?
he's a crappy cartoon villain, what?
Oh, I'm telling you.
But you know something, Spielberg, by the way, directed by Spielberg, obviously.
Of course,
that scene where the shark is dragging your woman around, he didn't tell your woman about the first tug, so that when she wasn't expecting it, so that the reaction was pure natural. I love when you hear about directors doing little touches like that. It's just this is for me, this film again.
That might be the wrong use of language. The directors and touches back in the old days was probably a common thing. We probably shouldn't talk too much about that.
Yeah. Sorry about that, folks.
Not that it's a laughing matter, but
no, absolutely not. But what if again, we're kind of with Silence of the Lambs. It's not really classed in the general sense as a horror, but I see some serious horror moments in it, and horror atmosphere. Again, atmosphere, as I've always say, atmospheric. What an atmosphere! That's a Russ Abbott song, by the way.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But that's the whole thing about this movie. I mean, 1975, you would not kids watching it now, or younger people watching it now will probably think 1975, was it really that long ago? Because it doesn't feel that way. Obviously, it was a big Hollywood movie, and but I mean, it wasn't a huge budget as things stand now. I mean, they had all sorts of trouble with the shark. We know over time, even trying to get their hands on the original sharks, it's impossible because they've all basically gone to shit.
Yeah, deteriorated. I mean, they made it for $9 million.
Yeah, I mean, it was a big budget, but in comparison, the box office was 480 or 470 million. So it's absolutely incredible. I mean, that was the summer. I know that's the movie that my parents would have went to see, and from my dad's perspective and all, that would have been, living beside Bray Beach. That was probably terrifying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When people were genuinely afraid to go into the water. So I mean, in terms of not being classed as a horror, this is as horrific as you can get, because there's this man-eating shark out there that's trying to kill you now,
and it's real.
It's so real. And I think one of the things in this movie is you know, you get to see a nice plot behind it all too. So it's not. This is the great thing about this movie. It's story writing.
Yeah.
You get to see Chief Brody is kind of a newbie. He's kind of the rookie in town. You know, he's a city cop. Because it's all based around the Amity Island.
Amity, yeah, island, yeah.
But it's based around New York, the Hamptons and stuff like that, and it's, you know, it's one of those beaches. There's not a whole lot on it. I'm sure, like, if you saw those beaches now, there'd probably be lovely little spots where you can go and get tequila and cocktails and stuff like that. But this is pretty much just 1975. Not much to do. Let's all go to the beach. You know, let's get some sun rays. So, without kind of going through it or anything, the mayor, who's a fucking mayor, Larry Vaughn.
He's a klutz, isn't he?
Oh, he's a bit of a klutz. You know, he's probably not the worst guy in the world, but he's a businessman.
Yeah.
And he knows that this town depends on, you know, business. And Brody is kind of going, well, we need to shut down the beaches, blah, blah, blah. And he's making the signs, and they're having a bit of back and forth. So Brody's kind of going, okay, well, look, I'm new here, so I better just follow the rules. Then it's they're trying to say it's a boating accident, you know, which is fucking hilarious. They place a bounty on it, but that's when we first see Quint.
Robert Shaw.
Quint is sitting in the classroom. Rob Shaw, great man, died over here in Ireland too.
That's right, yeah, Jesus. See, Ireland's a mad place, you see.
Loves
all the good ones. What?
So it's kind of like, you know, the premise of this is really great. You know, with you know, they catch all the fucking town are getting together to catch this. It's like a bounty hunt for this shark, and they catch the tiger shark, and they think they have it. And, you know, you see Mayor Vaughn then is kind of making sense. He goes, if you open that shark up, you know, right here on the beach, if that little girl comes out, you want her dead body to be fucking floating around, you know, for the whole town to see. And you're kind of going, okay, that actually kind of makes sense. And don't forget, Hooper's in the show at this stage. Hooper's obviously, he's one of these, he's kind of an expert.
Scientist of sorts, yeah.
Yeah, and Quint obviously quite clearly doesn't like this motherfucker because he just looks at him as one of those big wigs who went and got college education, whereas Quint is
a real man.
Oh yeah, Jesus. So I mean, the whole story of this film is like there's not a whole lot of deaths in it. Like at this point, you know what I mean? Obviously the boy gets killed, and everyone comes up and blames Chief Brody on it. Like, you know, that's pretty. They all feel pretty bad about that. And I think one of my favorite scenes in that is when Brody's there with his kid, and he's eating the dinner, and he's obviously down on the wine, and the kid's just mimicking everything he's doing. Yeah. And it's actually such a beautiful scene because you see like the good man in there, and he's like,
yeah,
you know, and he's like, give me a kiss, I need it, you know.
Yeah, I love that bit. Yeah, it's
really nice scene, you know.
It's I mean, and it's gas. Like there's not an awful lot of, I suppose you could say, character development. But like what I mean by that is in such a short space of time you get to know these people. Yeah, and that's fantastic storytelling when you think about it, you know.
Yeah, I think that's it. Like, and you know, you learn that you learn that Chief Brody's a great guy.
Yeah,
you know, just wanting to help the community, and the wife is obviously, you know, right behind him every step of the way. It looks like a great marriage, to be honest. But I love when Hooper comes in then and he brings the wine in. I got a red and a white. I'm not sure which he preferred. And he's like, he just randomly helps himself to the plate of food. Anybody eating this? No. And, you know, it's a great little scene. And they both get kind of pissed and they decide to go down and open up the shark, you know. Yeah. And then they realize, shit, this isn't the shark.
Oh, yeah.
And that's when they really know that it's time now to go to Mayor Vaughn and say, look, we need to go and get Quint. They go into Quint. Quint fucking absolutely hates Hooper. Yeah. It's quite obvious.
It's everybody really.
Yeah, he's just boiling fucking, you know, shark teeth and, you know, making his own moonshine. And the three boys anyway go off and They go to get the shark, and this is really where the story begins, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
For me, this is the meat and bones of it. Like, no pun intended, but it really is. Like, the scenes on this boat are just absolutely incredible. I mean, that scene when the three boys are comparing scars.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then Quint is talking about what happened, you know, on the USS Indianapolis, where there was like 40 men, and they were surrounded by like 40 sharks. You know, it's absolutely incredible when he gets into that story. And little segue on that one, like that was done when Quint was actually drunk, when Robert Shaw was actually drunk.
Jesus.
Because they were trying to do it, but it came out organic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because apparently he was a drinker on the set anyway. You know, that was different times.
Yeah, big time.
Different times, you know. And I love when farewell to you, the Spanish lady.
Oh, give it a sucks.
Oh, and the boys are like fucking, you know.
That's like a bonding. That's like a bonding session right there.
That's the scene when you say, you know, when they're comparing scars. I think that's when you're seeing that Quint actually has a bit of respect for Hooper then.
Yeah.
And you know, it was Hooper's like, show me the way to go.
I love that.
Then I want to go to bed. And they're all banging the fucking table.
That's what I love, yeah.
Boom! The fucking shark smacks into the boat.
Doesn't it take the yellow dinghies with them?
Yeah, that's it. Well, he breaks the bowl, so they have to fucking basically try and sort out the boat first and foremost. Yeah, and then they take their little yellow barrels, and they're keeping an eye on them, and it's great. And you can see it. I love. I absolutely love Roy Scheider's acting in this, because he shows how kind of vulnerable he is.
Yeah,
you know, he's not a seaman at all. Like
at all. He's totally out of his depth. Out of the three of them.
Totally out of his depth. You know what I mean? And there's a few little bits where like he almost gets Hooper. The rope kind of gets Hooper and ties him in and fucking snaps him in the arse, and he's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" But this is, I just thought this was incredible cinema. And then for the first time we get to see Jaws up close when he's feeding the fish, and he's looking
I love that bit.
And he sees it. My God, still the best looking shark in a shark movie ever, even with CGI.
I mean, I still always, you know me, I love practical effects over CGI. Now, in fairness, if you can get a good mix of the two, then that's probably the best.
Yeah, we always say that.
Yeah, but the likes, as I say, this is, we all know now it was a mechanical shark or whatever, but back in the day it wouldn't have looked like a mechanical shark.
No,
because not an awful lot of people would have seen a great white shark. They wouldn't have had the National Geographic Channel or something like that. You know what I mean? So seeing this thing, and what I love about that shark was Bruce. They call him Bruce.
Bruce was the shark, yeah.
Named after Steven Spielberg's lawyer or solicitor or whatever. But they had three of them made, but they were 25 foot in length. So you imagine seeing that, like, on set. That'd have been awesome. But of course,
like they were bigger than any real, great white. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I assume, I'm not a shark expert, but I assume it was meant to be bigger than any.
Well, there has been literally a couple of 25 footers on record, but it would. I mean, I think 20 to 22 feet is the biggest that they go. I love great whites. So
but not a megalodon.
No, not a megalodon. No, they were twice or three. They were nearly twice or three times the size of a great white shark. It's crazy.
Well, they could fit a Bigfoot in their mouth, technically. Think of that.
Yeah.
And a Sasquatch is meant to be 9 foot, so imagine that. Go figure.
Isn't it mad though? Before we go on about, see, like we're just talking about the Meg. Did you ever see that film, The Meg? And we won't go on too long about it. What did you think of that?
The premise of it, I thought, was cool because I mean, sharks scare me. You know what I mean? Like, I'll give a little bit of a backstory, as you know, and I say it on this show all the time. Me and my granddad were like that.
Yeah.
And growing up in a small town in Ireland, a seaside town, Bray. My granddad was a great storyteller, and he used to know how to put the shits up you. And he was like, "Oh, that all happened down in Bray Beach." You know what I mean? You know, so you're 5 or 6 years old watching this movie.
Yeah,
like,
he was
what? I was like, no
deadly.
wonder I didn't want to go in the sea for so long. But I remember like even seeing the banana boats. Like even out in Bray Beach, they'd have the banana boats,
Yeah.
and people would be out paddling. I was like, "Get them out!" Get them
An impressionable young man.
But like that's the effect that had probably on millions and millions and millions of people around the world, that they just were terrified to go into the water. But yeah, the megalodon. Back to your question, I thought this was a great idea, like a prehistoric shark, because people have obviously said they've seen sightings in certain deep waters, and some of them look pretty cool, man. If you go on YouTube, you see some fucking real scary looking things at the bottom of the sea, and you're like, wow, what was that? So I really liked the idea of it, but then it became like the Jason Statham show where like he's basically surfing in the
I had to skip it on a few bits. I just wanted to see the
You're like,
megalodon.
what?
Yeah.
Like, really? This, oh my God, you know, maybe The Rock would have a chance. I don't know. But, you know, he is a silverback, as he likes to call himself. So
anyway, back to our film.
Back to our film, yeah. I mean, it's a great point that you make, because it goes to show you that, like, it still hasn't been done as good as that was. And I would dare say that even Jaws 2, Jaws 3, Jaws the Revenge, whatever, like, I still think they're better movies.
Yeah.
Than most shark movies, like Deep Blue Sea and all, you know?
They're not even that good, like, but they're still better.
But they're not bad either. I mean, maybe one day we'll probably look at it as a oh, Jaws 3D, yeah, that was the one with Daniel Quaid, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Dennis Quaid, sorry.
Dennis Quaid, yeah.
And they have the kind of, again, I still liked it for what it is. I'm known to like those cheesy movies, but this particular one, man, this was absolutely incredible, and the ship, the Orca, I love the name of it too.
Yeah, me too.
Love the name of it. But as it's kind of like when you see poor El Quint go into the mouth of the Jaws, I'm like, really? He had to take the sacrifice of all people.
It's an iconic scene, isn't it? It really is.
It really is. And acted so well, man. You can actually hear the fucking pain in his voice as he's in the mouth. That was absolutely incredible. But it's kind of amazing because obviously before that, Hooper has gone down and the cage has been absolutely shattered in two. So you think he's a goner. You think he's gone too, without a shadow of a doubt. And then it comes back to obviously, and like you can see the fear in Chief Brody that he's literally on his own now and does not know what to do on a fucking boat. He's already out of his depth. But the boat's sinking anyway. It's going down big time, and he's the one that gets the last blast on the
old Jaws.
On El Bruce, yeah.
What does he kill him with? Was it a gas canister or something?
Yeah, the gas canister was in the mouth.
Shot in the mouth, and he blew him
third
up.
time lucky, takes 2 shots, boom, gets the third.
Yeah.
Boom, blows him up, and then of course you see Hooper swimming back, and you can see the joy basically in Brody's face. I mean, it is a special movie, to be honest with you. I think when you're looking at the story being told, like I said, this is, you probably, I don't know the math on it, but you probably only get about maybe 5 to 10 minutes of the actual shark in it, don't you, up close?
Yeah, I think it's what you call it. I was looking up that. I think it was only an hour and 20 minutes was the first time it came on screen of a 2-hour film about a shark. Yeah, I think you're talking about 20 minutes of shark time.
And even in that shark time, you're not seeing the shark as in like up close and personal.
Which,
as when they tease the face sometimes under the water, and then you don't quite see, you just see the eyes and the teeth, and you're like, holy shit.
Do you know what scene I love? You know when Hooper's down below and he finds the dead body? Yeah. The dead man, and it just kind of pumps up beside him, and you hear him, Jesus.
Yeah.
That was a good scare. That was a good jump scare.
Again, that's horror, you know, that's horror fucking scare.
Do you know what's gas? Like, I mean, excuse me. Like, even the start of the film, the way it's filmed in pitch black, with just silhouette of and you know that little ding, ding, ding.
Yes,
that's
terrifying.
Because, like, I like that. Like, I mean, I like a film as you know, and anyone who's watching this now all the time will know, I like films where I don't necessarily want to be excited. I want to be kind of, I feel a bit of dread. I want to, what the fuck's actually going to fucking happen here, you know? So you never
Something
know.
bad has gone down.
Yeah.
Sinister almost, yeah.
Yes. And what I love about this film, and it's like, I mean, you know, we are doing films that we both love. It's not a case that we're doing something just for the sake of it. These are films that we will watch again and again and again. And this is one of those films. You know, I think this was the first film I got on DVD when I started buying DVDs.
Yeah, Jaws is probably a film I'd say that, and I'd say that, Videodrome, The Thing, are probably 3 movies that I watch at least.
Yeah, it's like
20
me with
to 30 times a year. Do you know what I mean? I could safely say that.
That's like me with American Werewolf.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just there's certain movies like that do it for you. It's like The Fog for me, which we will cover one day.
Absolutely.
It's another beach movie. You'll see why I get so scared by beach movies, but that's one that I try and keep for special times. Do you know what I mean? And watch it at Halloween because I don't want to overkill it. Whereas there's certain movies that you can overkill because it gets better each time. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, I absolutely love it. You're right. It's the atmosphere. It's the music. And I mean, the thing about it is, like, this wasn't all dread music. I mean, it was all composed, you know, music. Because don't forget, this is still in the mid-70s. So they didn't really have that whole, you know...
soundscape stuff.
Yeah. And it's kind of like a lot of the music goes into jolly music, then you're like, you know, and you're like, what the fuck?
There's, what I like about that though is, like, I mean, you know yourself, like, John Williams is a musical genius.
Yeah.
I mean, he has some of the biggest film names under his belt, as we know. We won't go into that. That could be actually an episode on its own, to be honest with you. I know it's not horror per se, but, like, he has got some amazing music that does sound like horror music, you know. But he does, anyway, with this song, and it's so simple, like the actual main theme, the doo-doo, so simple, and it's almost like Alfred Hitchcock's Bernard Herrmann's kind of style.
And Tommy Johnson wanted to was playing it, and he was kind of questioning Williams on why, you know, he wanted to play it at such a pace, and he said he wanted it to sound more threatening. Yeah, which is completely.
And that feeling never leaves you when you're listening to that.
No.
And so that's how, like I was saying to you before, like even with wrestling, like music, entrance music can set, like if you've got a memorable entrance, that's like the Sharks entrance music. It's like, you know, when you've got an entrance music, that sets the stage for what's to come, you know?
Well, sure, Spielberg himself said that without that score, like, the film would have only been half as successful.
Yeah. And
because you're literally, I mean, if you're in the water with someone on the beach and you just go, and you grab their leg like under the water, it's like, yeah, fuck off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which quite clearly I have done. But if someone done it to me, I'd also be equally as fucking fuck off. You know what I mean? No, I thought it was amazing, man. That sums up Jaws for us, to be honest with you. I think,
absolutely.
I think it was an absolutely, again, it's a masterpiece. I know we're going to get to our scores that people are laughing at me now because I always said I'd never get into the Meltzer rating, but they're slabs of meat. Yes. For me, again, 2 weeks in a row for me where I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5 because I think for the movie that it is and for the premise that it tells, the narrative that it tells, it's a perfect movie. And almost by luck, it's a perfect movie because we would have seen a lot more of Bruce the Shark in it had it have gone the way Spielberg wanted it to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Only without some mechanical problems, it ended up being kind of lucky.
So it was made even more spectacular by less is more, you know.
Yeah.
In terms of my rating, you caught me out last week when you were like, you just don't want to give it a 5, like, you know. Well, I'm going to give this a 5. I'm going to give it 5 slabs of meat this week because it's one of the few films. And I mean, I know I love American Werewolf in London, and I didn't.
5 slabs of fish.
5 slabs of fish That's right. Sorry. We'll get our editing department to sort that out, you know. 5 fish fingers.
5 fish fingers. I love it.
But this film, I can genuinely say I can watch it all the time. Like I was saying to you, like there's certain films and like I know I said I love American Werewolf in London. It's one of my favorite films ever of all time, possibly my favorite. But there are 1 or 2 little flaws in it. Now, the difference between Jaws is there's very, very few flaws, if any. When you'll
be nitpicking if you're looking for them, aren't you?
Yeah. So for that reason, I am giving it the 5 fish fingers to do.
I like it. And the bird's eye kind, the Captain Bird's Eye, not Findus.
Yeah, okay. What did you say, Findus?
Yeah.
Findus. Do you remember Findus? Jesus.
Yeah.
Or KVI, Keenest Value in Ireland. Now we're getting real Irish now. Sorry.
Oh, we're getting very Irish. For all our American listeners, forgive us. They are a brand of
fish sticks. That's what they look like.
Yeah, that aren't
sticks.
Great. They're not great, but they'll do.
Good value though.
But no, 100%, man. I think it's very hard. Jaws is what it is, and it is a classic movie. I mean, people can call it psychological thriller. People can call it just a fun summer movie. Some people will. You know what I mean?
Sick freaks.
Sick freaks. But for me, I think it's absolutely one of the most horrific movies of all time when you look at it in context. Yeah. And the scenes in it and the whole premise of it is great. It can be both uplifting too, though, at the same time, because there's some great personal stories in it. I mean, we talked about Mayor Vaughn. Like, is he really that bad a guy? You know, I was on Ted Show on Retrotainment before doing Jaws a while back, and you're going, I don't think he's really that bad a guy, you know, because when he turns around in that scene and says, my kids were on that beach too. Yeah. You're kind of like...
He's just a bit of a klutz, as I was saying earlier on. Yeah. He means well, but he's just a bit of a gobshite, really. Yeah.
And literally, when Brody says, right, sign it, and that's when they go and get Mr. Quint himself. You know, it's such a great movie.
What I love about this film, you know, like it was obviously brought from a book by Peter Benchley, right?
Yes.
But there was 2 parts of the book that they didn't bring into the film. And I know we're going to wrap up in a minute, I do know that. But one of them was Hooper actually has an affair with Brody's wife. Did you know that? In the book. Did you know that?
That long? Yeah.
Yeah. And
I've heard that before.
So that was one part they didn't bring in. The second one was...
Which I'm glad they didn't.
Yeah, exactly, because I like Hooper. I love Hooper. He's probably I know Quint, everyone loves Quint, but I love Hooper. I always love Hooper, you know. And then...
He's also phenomenal in Third Encounters. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Apologies.
Richard Dreyfuss, of course. But the other thing they didn't, you know, remember the way the mayor was under pressure from everybody to open the beaches and all this kind of stuff. Well, it wasn't the town that he was under pressure from; it was from the mafia. In the book, because of all their real estate was getting affected. So
it was very dark and very real. It was based in New York as well.
So they obviously changed the mafia to just the town, you know.
Well, there's their homework now to go and read the book.
Yes, I am going to. Well, I'm definitely going to watch the movie tonight. And I think if anyone is watching this and they haven't watched it in a while, do yourself a favour. And, you know.
It's summer. It's summertime. Go and watch it. Go down to the beach. Get yourself scared. Have some fun. Why not?
Absolutely.
It's a great fucking movie. But I suppose until next week, unless you're willing to share what movie you're going to pick for next week.
I am not willing to share it because I want to discuss it with you before we... I have something in mind, and it's something that I don't think you've seen before. And we're going to go kind of modern next week. So I want to get your... what I'm going to do, I don't want you to watch it, of course, until the day that we record, or the night before we record. Yeah. So your kind of impressions of it are fresh, you know?
Okay.
Now that might be a short episode because you might just tell me to feck off and then just walk off camera, like, you know what I mean? Well, we'll see what happens. We're gonna have another one of those shot in the darks, you know.
Yeah.
But I also do think we're in, and after that episode, well, after your next pick, I think we should go back to doing a few more Irish stories then as well.
Oh, absolutely. That's the plan.
You know,
We
like
plan to do a lot more of them. So,
but I think we're gonna go and leave the slab for now. I think, aren't we?
absolutely. Please do the usual. Follow us on, or like and subscribe, should I say, on the VPN, which you are on right now. Hit the bell notification if you like our show. All of our shows are packaged neatly in each individual playlist as well. So if you only like this show and you don't like anything else, that's absolutely fine.
Absolutely.
You can catch up with all of our latest episodes here, and like we say, there will be social media coming soon. We are going to get a proper Facebook page and group going so that you can all kind of come in and have our own little community there, and let us know what you do and don't like, and we'll get a Twitter handle and all that going as well. So all that good stuff to come, baby steps, as they say. Absolutely. Carol, why don't you close it up today?
I will indeed. So before we go, just don't forget, if you do go out into the sea and you don't have a dinghy, and if you do see something coming at you, you're fucked. Hard luck. You're out of it. You're gone. But
and if you are in a boat and you see a huge shark,
you're going to need a bigger boat. We're out of here. Adios.